I just finished reading Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, a little novella that he released like 5, 6 years ago and then re-released, I think like last year. This book follows Sawyer, who's him and his friends. They find a mannequin and they like use it for, I don't know, just messing around, having fun through the summer and stuff like that. They come up with an idea to pull a prank at the local movie theater. Their friend works there and stuff like that. And Sawyer, at the end, when the prank doesn't go quite right, sees the mannequin walk off. And from there, death occurs, and Sawyer hatches a plan to fix it all. And man, it is a unhinged plan, let's just say. I liked this book. It's not one of my favorite Stephen Graham Jones books, but what I really appreciate about him is he takes big swings. Whether it's like a singular scene or the whole story or something happens that changes the course of the story, like direction of the story, there's always something, small or big, that's a big swing. The direction of this book is a big swing that I think is largely well done, and I think largely he sticks the landing on what it is. It's a very Stephen Graham Jones book in terms of his writing style, the way he writes teenage characters, which I mostly really like, but I know people who aren't crazy about his style. And while he has some books that diverge from that, like I haven't read the Buffalo Hunter x Hunter, but I've heard that from people who are like, "Oh, whoa, this is like doesn't read quite like a typical Stephen Graham Jones book." And this, I was reading this, and the characters, the prose, it's just like such his style, and it's like, man, if you are not a fan of that, this book is not going to be for you whatsoever. While I really do like the direction of it overall, I wish there was more mannequin stuff. I was kind of surprised at how little mannequin stuff. Like the mannequins always like reference, but in terms of like what's done with the mannequin, who they've finally named Manny, and it's like, oh, I kind of thought there was going to be more. I understand because of the story he's telling and the direction he's taking it. One disappointment also is I think Stephen Graham Jones writes some of the best gore out there. I love the way he writes violence. It's so visceral, disgusting, and brutal. And this really let me down. I thought the kills just were not. There was not like a lot of gore or anything like that. There's like one thing that is, but like it doesn't have the same impact that a lot of his writing tends to do. And I don't know, the humor in his books just never hits for me. Like I always know he like tries to interject like this humor and like he has this tone, and I always think like when he leans into the horror and the drama, it typically works, but sometimes it clashes with like this like levity he's trying to bring to it. And there were actually a couple things I actually laughed in this book that most of his other books didn't really hit for me in terms of any laughing or anything like that. So like I don't know, I kind of have mixed feelings about the tone of this book. I think Sawyer is like one of the more interesting protagonists he's had. He just the journey he goes on is just so out there and just not at all what I was expecting. And so I was just really surprised by that character's choices, and definitely a story of someone just making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, and it is very entertaining. It gets a little wheel spinny and a little repetitive here and there, especially for something that's like 112 pages, actually a little bit less than 112 pages. But I still would say like I think this was like a memorable protagonist because there's not all of his protagonists I can recall back to, but I think with the decisions this character made them really stand out. And I liked the supporting cast. I just wish there was a little more of them. Like they had a good vibe and like their friendship and everything like that, but like I just feel like there was something missing. I just didn't get enough to get them fully explored and get their personalities like really out and fully fleshed out. I know it's just a novella and so it's short. It's hard to do that, but I just wish I don't know, there was just something a little bit more I was hoping to get out of this friend group. And I think that just kind of like goes into the repetitive nature of certain things in the book and how certain things I was hoping we would explore and we ended up exploring other things. And then there's some give or take. There's a lot of like things that's like I'll have a pro to it, but on the other side, there's also a little bit of a con and a little bit of a I don't know. It has a this bounce back of just what's good in it and what's just like not gonna say bad, but it's just like oh, I kind of wish I was getting a little bit more out of this. But overall, I do enjoy this book. I do think it's good overall. And if you're a huge Stephen Graham Jones fan, it's a must read. If you are not an enormous fan, then you're probably not going to be super into it. For me, you can check out my book Unfold, and I also recently had a short story in a collection called Beautiful and Terrifying. You can check that out for my vampire short story. And there's a bunch of poems and other stuff in there that you can check out from the other writers. And for me, also, you can check out my Substack, which I post on every Sunday.